Hi, my name is Sarah Nance, and this is my Module 17 infographic. I chose two of the student outcomes from the list of 5 necessary for continuous school improvement and some steps that my staff or community could take to ensure that the students develop those outcomes or meet those outcomes. And they were the individual plan of study focused on career interest and social emotional growth. So I started with the individual plan of study focused on career interest. And so I asked 2 questions. Where do we want to go and how do we get there? That's from the continuous improvement school framework. And so in planning for 100% of students to graduate from high school and thrive at the post-secondary level, which are 2 other of the outcomes, students in our school district, starting in the 5th to 8th grade, should begin making decisions about where their goals for the future are. And how do we get there? The video alluded to 3 different ways that students could meet these outcomes. And so it began with interest inventories, again starting somewhere in the 5th to 8th grade, taking career surveys and profiles and kind of centering on their strengths and interests, and then holding individual conferences with students and parents as they gear up for the secondary level at high school, where hopefully those skills and interests and career paths might be further cultivated. The other one that I chose was social emotional growth, and I wish in Colorado we had something similar to this as an outcome, because I think it's really important for students to develop skills outside of the classroom. And so where do we want to go? It said that 81% of business leaders in this survey noted that their most successful employees possessed positive non-academic skills and behaviors. And then coupled with strong academic behaviors and skills, students have a very high chance of being successful. So again, in planning for 100% of students to graduate from high school and thrive at the post-secondary level, we need to equip our students with skills that will bolster their success non-academically. And those characteristics are perseverance or grit, high character, high integrity, good goal-setting skills, and conscientiousness. That includes courtesy, showing up on time, all skills that I think could be developed in high school. So how do we get there? The video talked about some resources and videos that were offered through the Kansas Board of Education that teachers were asked to consult. I think that kind of gets the ball rolling, starting there. And then as a building leader, I would hopefully be able to structure some professional development opportunities for my staff to attend. I'd probably quantify it and say, choose 3 out of 7 to center on in cultivating some of those traits in students. I would then have teachers implement and try to develop those skills in students using tools available. The video talked about the data collection of this, though, and how it could be private. Perhaps it could be a public discussion or a discussion upon evaluation where teachers could maybe anecdotally comment on how implementation is going. I think that one needs a little bit further refinement or clarification about how we would demonstrate that the students are actually meeting those outcomes. And then finally, I think it's important to make sure that we ask how our students are going to get where we need them to go. So as we implement steps to ensure students demonstrate all 5 outcomes, we plan to focus on those 2 specifically this year. So this assignment asked us to look at 2 of them, even though I think all 5 are important. So I would maybe focus on 2, for example, for the year. And so in designing steps and ways to ensure students demonstrate those outcomes, I would have them keep the following other questions additionally in mind. So I would want to have my staff consider, who are we? What are our demographics? Who is our staff? What kind of data can we gather before we start implementing or training teachers on these measures? How do we do business here? That's the culture and climate questions. Where are we now looks at assessment data, school processes, so that we can figure out where our starting points are before we start working to close the gaps in these ways by meeting these outcomes. What are the gaps, which is the difference between where we are and where we want to be, and how will we implement? That speaks to professional development. It talks about like meeting a school vision or achieving a school vision, and that also complements who we are. What are our goals? And then the last part is, how will we evaluate our efforts? What efforts will be taken? What efforts will be taken to evaluate how we've done? And so again, assessment data, the 4 measures of data where they intersect. And I think in asking all these questions in the continuous school improvement framework, will help us meet all 5 of the outcomes, but specifically these 2, the interest inventory with career success in mind, and also social emotional growth for all students. Thanks so much for watching.